Good morning, good afternoon. If you were here and got to see my fall off of the other side over there, I'm okay. I might be a little stiff tomorrow morning, but I'm all okay. So good afternoon. My name is Barbara McCullough. My pronouns are she, her. Welcome to First Unitarian Church, where our mission is to explore the eternal, nurture community, and pursue the common good. We welcome you in your brokenness and in your wholeness, no matter who you have been, who you are, or who you are becoming. We greet you today with love. A special welcome to you if you're new to the church. If you're here in person, you can find a card at the back of the sanctuary where you can share contact information so you can receive our email newsletter. And if you're online, you can find a similar form under newcomers on the website. We're happy to have all of our friends, new and old, who are watching us on YouTube this afternoon. Please introduce yourself in the comments and let us know where you're joining us from. At this time, Becky Talent would like to give us an announcement about the auction.
I too started to say good morning. Good afternoon. My name is Becky Talent. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a little old lady with gray hair and a gray dress. So I'm on the auction committee this year, and it's my pleasure to do an announcement. Now, how many people here have gone to the auction site? Okay, see what you're missing? Those of you who didn't raise your hand? Last Sunday, right before noon, Marlise sent an email to everybody with the link. If you didn't get it, holler at Marlise and she'll send it to you again. You can share that link, you can forward that email to your friends and family. This is not just limited to us. We have fabulous things to buy. With the diligence and generosity of all of our patrons and our committee members, we have over 90 things to bid on. That's everything from a pool party to a guitar to acupuncture treatments and everything in between. There are fabulous vacation opportunities and lots of local touristy things. Now, there are two things you also need to know. Now, first of all, please go to the auction website and let us know if you have any trouble. Number two, there is a mission associated with the auction, and you have to click the address. The 3 bars at the top left corner of your screen, and for a pull-down menu that has the mission in there so you can make a donation if you'd like to. And the most important thing to talk about today is the 50-50 raffle. A 50-50 raffle, tickets are $5 a piece, 5 tickets for $20, and you have to be present next week to win. And the new minister is going to pull the winning raffle ticket. The winner gets 50% and the church gets 50%. So we're going to be selling raffle tickets after church today, and then we'll be selling them next Sunday, and the drawing is going to be Sunday after church. So be sure, and it's cash only. We can't do that online because of the ticket things. So be sure and get your raffle tickets. Thank you very much.
Today, we welcome back to the pulpit the Reverend David H. Messner, PhD, our consulting minister from First Unitarian Church of Chicago. Welcome all to First Unitarian OKC. And now the prelude prepares us for worship. Our chalice lighter today is Luann Faulkner Schneider. In lighting our chalice, we connect ourselves with many different people. The many Unitarian Universalists across space and time who also light or have lit the chalice. Our spiritual ancestors with their dreams, good deeds, and even their failings. We light our chalice in Midtown, Oklahoma City, on land that was home to first Americans, including the Apache, Caddo, and Wichita, on land that was taken from the Muskogee and Seminole and other removed and relocated peoples. We light the chalice as a symbol of our sacred time together. The burning chalice represents the light of reason and science, the warmth of loving community, the cleansing heat of justice, and the flame of hope.
Welcome. Enter this house because it is your home. Stop at the threshold and shake the dust off your coat, off your feet. Dust carried from a world that does not always listen well and that rarely understands fully. Welcome. Enter this house knowing it is your home. See that the altar here, that the pews here has empty spaces. Decoration are not their purpose. It does instead the work of invitation. Come here to this house and lay down your weariness, lay down your failures and your disappointments, lay down your hurts and betrayals. They bear no consequence in this house. Then gather up your dream, bring forward your hopes, give them the blessing of light and air and the power of live witness. Take up now together the work of the Spirit, for this shelter is for the making and remaking of souls. Let us again begin the great human vocation of ours, the great human vocation of making and remaking community that grows longer, stretches deeper, and becomes wider with each week. Come, let us now worship together. And as we enter this time of worship, I'm going to invite you to greet one another. Greet someone who's closest to you, because our neighbor is our neighbor. Whether we like it or not, you sat there. Say a word of encouragement to them, and then go say a word to someone you don't know.
Up here for the offering reader.
And Tempe's going to talk. You got that note?
There are going to be two people talk before you.
Great.
We have the offering, and then
you're going to do the responsive reading, and then an anthem.
Once I'm done, and the anthem, and once I'm done with the responsive reading, I'm really done until at the very end. Before you do the benediction, I'm supposed to say we extinguish the chalice.
Excellent.
And if you forget, I just won't come up for it.
You just do it.
Okay.
You do it.
Okay.
We'll move
so
like
I'll leave this here.
wordless dancers who know all the steps.
Yeah, two people. Courtney Custer's coming up, and then Tempe for the call to offering, and then we do the...
Great. Am I calling up?
No.
Yes?
No.
No. Okay, great.
No, you don't have anything to do.
No, I'll sit down and shut up. That's it.
After that.
Yes, ma'am.
How many of these do you want us to do? There's a sing, dance, laugh, shout, and do. How many do you want us to do?
What's your spirit say?
How about do, sing, dance, and go back to do? Do, sing, dance, do.
Do, sing.
And then go back to do. Because it says to go back to do. So you start with do.
That sounds good to me.
Do, sing, dance.
That sounds genius. Thank you. Do, sing, dance, do. Do, sing.
Did you get a chance to watch the marathon this morning?
Yeah, we went down. Trying to encourage the people on. It's really sweet actually to watch, because everybody, like professional level people, the people who just praying, it'll be okay. Yeah.
Hello, folks. We're going to do 1024. We're going to do, sing, dance, do.
Good afternoon. My name is Courtney. My pronoun is she. I am not in your order of service. I am the chair of the Human Resources Working Group, and I'm interrupting your regularly scheduled programming with a bit of marathon-related news.
Good afternoon. Now, our annual employee recognition event is coming up May 18th. And this year, we're embracing the spirit of friendly competition with a marathon theme. We'll be awarding medals later this spring.
That's right, Susan. We've seen some incredible performances this year, feats of strength in committee meetings, displays of endurance last summer when we didn't have a coach to guide us.
But today, we have a special pre-event or ceremony. We need to honor someone who has been absolutely essential to Team 1UC of Oklahoma City's training regime this past year.
You mean our head coach? The strategist flown in all the way from the elite training rounds of Chicago?
The very same. Folks, for the past year, we've had the privilege of working with our consulting minister, the insightful, the patient, the man with a metaphorical clipboard and stopwatch, Reverend Dave Messner.
Coach Dave put us through our paces, didn't he? I remember the church systems analysis that was an intense training run.
Oh, absolutely. There were the suggestion sprints, the improvement interval training, and let's not forget that grueling ministerial search marathon.
My spiritual hamstrings are still recovering from that marathon. Coach Dave kept us focused asked the tough questions, making sure our form was right. He wasn't afraid to blow the whistle when we were off track.
He reviewed his our church evaluation with a keen eye. He helped us identify our strengths, work on our weaknesses, and develop a winning strategy for the future.
And ultimately, he coached the search committee, our star recruiting team, to find an incredible new coach to lead us forward. That, folks, is gold medal stuff.
And we hereby award you the Consulting Coach Gold Medal of Extraordinary Merit.
Reverend Dave, we hereby award you this gold medal for your wisdom, your guidance, your good humor, and for successfully coaching Team 1UC through a challenging and ultimately triumphant season.
So with a medal around his neck, Coach Reverend Dave will head back to Chicago with a symbol recognizing his phenomenal coaching contribution.
And because coaches, just like runners, need complete hydration, we also present you with this Stanley water bottle for your travels as a token of our immense gratitude.
And we wish you all the best, and you'll always have a home here at First Unitarian Church of Oklahoma City. Thank you again, Reverend Dave, for your help keeping 1UC on track to remain a beacon of light in Oklahoma.
Does it mean anything if they say goodbye before you preach and clap you out of the room? I'm going to turn it. Okay, good. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tempe Nichols-Rude, and I am the facilitator of Sustainable Living Organization. We are sponsoring the OKC Food Hub for our Change for Change recipient. Every Sunday, we take an offering. Since 2002, all the cash and designated checks from that offering go directly to an external nonprofit organization doing good work, our Change for Change partners. This month, OKC Food Hub, which is providing local farm fresh food by wholesaling market access to a number of different organizations, from tribes and schools and other educational facilities. They take produce from local growers and market those to other organizations then. Our contribution will help pay for standardized boxes that these farmers need in order to have their produce shipped. So many of these farmers are Black, Indigenous, or people of color, and they would really need those boxes to help access their markets. Another mission of the OKC Food Hub is to provide food directly to consumers, and to that end, I have a sign-up sheet for individuals to sign up for bi-weekly deliveries here to the church. We need about 5 more people who are willing to sign up so that we can have farm fresh food delivered to us every couple of weeks. See me after the service. And now, if the ushers will come forward, members of our Sustainable Living group.
Hi. Just wanted to say you'll see that the offering music today is For Good from Wicked, and this is another farewell tribute to Reverend Dave.
I've heard it said that people come into our lives for a reason, bringing something we must learn, and we are led to those who help us most to grow if we let them, and we help them in return. Well, I don't know if I believe that's true, but I know I'm who I am today because I knew you. Like a comet pulled from orbit as it passes the sun, like a stream that meets a boulder halfway through the wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better, but because I knew you, I have been changed for good.
It well may be that we will never meet again in this lifetime. So let me say before we part, so much of me is made of what I learned from you. You'll be with me like a handprint on my heart. And now whatever way our stories end, I know you have rewritten mine by being my friend. Like a ship blown from its mooring as it wind off the sea, like a seed dropped by a skybird in a distant wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better, but because I knew you,
Because I knew you,
I have been changed for good. And just to clear the air, I ask forgiveness for the things I've done you blame me for.
But then I guess we know there's blame to share,
And none of it seems to matter anymore.
Like a comet pulled
Like a
from
ship blown
orbit
from its
as it passes
mooring,
the
like a
sun.
wind off the sea,
Like a dream that meets a
like a seed dropped
boulder
by a bird
halfway
in the
through
wood.
Who can
say if I've been changed for the better? I do believe I have been changed for the better.
Because I knew you.
Because I knew you. Because I knew you. I have been changed for good.
Thank you, that was beautiful. Our responsive reading today is titled "We Need One Another" by George E. Odell. Please turn to page 468 in your gray hymnal and join me by reading the sections printed in italics. We need one another. We need one another when we mourn and would be comforted. We need one another when we are in trouble and afraid. We need one another when we are in despair, in temptation, and need to be recalled to our best selves again. We need one another when we would accomplish some great purpose and cannot do it alone. We need one another in the hour of success, when we look for someone to share our triumphs. We need one another in the hour of defeat, with encouragement we might endure and stand again. We need one another when we come to die, and would have gentle hands prepare us for the journey. All our lives we are in need, and others are in need of us.
Just before dawn this morning, a garden on earth in darkness was made. Life blooms of all sizes, shapes and colors by an unseen gardener arrayed.
This has been a year of a lot of surprises and changes in many ways. None more so perhaps than the music program, which has been dealt a few rocks in the road, and y'all keep on singing. And you get more beautiful by the month every time I come back. Thank you. Resilience and beauty. Continuing in that spirit, I have words for a time of meditation. I invite you to settle in and breathe in this unusual morning space, this extra-dimensional morning space we've been gifted at the end of our Sunday. This is a time I'd always used to dread having to go back to school. And when I was growing up, we'd have high school youth group in the Unitarian Church on Sunday evening that I sort of felt like inoculated me against dread. And I hope this is doing that on a late Sunday. These words are from Rilke, Rainer Maria Rilke, the poet. You who let yourselves feel, enter the breathing that is more your own. Let it brush your cheek as it divides and rejoins behind you. Blessed ones, whole ones, you where the heart begins, you are the bow that shoots the arrows, and you are the target. Fear not the pain. Let its weight fall back to the earth, for heavy are the mountains, heavy are the seas. The trees you planted in childhood have grown too heavy. You cannot bring them along now. Give yourselves to the air. Give yourselves to what you cannot hold. I invite you to sit just for a minute in meditation, maybe on those two things, those great trees that we feel proud to have planted that are too heavy to carry around, that we might leave behind. And I ask you today, in this late afternoon, what is it you'll be leaving behind as you head into this new chapter? And then when you feel the space, I ask you to consider, to what lightness, to what beauty, and to what possibility are you giving yourself to now? What calls to you? The trees are fully grown. You're free. Feel light. Feel power. You can sing a new song. You can walk a new path. You can take up new work. It's your time. I'm here to visit you in the in-between space. It's the last I'll speak to you. Someone new will come stand in the pulpit next week. Use the in-between space. Use the liminality to free yourself up. Say to the kids going off to college, you get to be whatever you want. If you want to land and be an artist and not speak of physics anymore, you can. If you want to go play rugby, now's your season. And I say it to you. There aren't many of you I look around who are 18. But this is your season. This is your heading off into a new chapter. And so here's the game I'm going to play, which I do just to upset the tech crew, is I'm going to walk down this beautiful center aisle. And if you have something you just want to speak aloud, that you're giving up, a great tree planted in your childhood, maybe you'll give up now. You raise a finger. This one is the polite one. Courtney gets me. You raise a finger, and I'll stop, and I'm going to offer you the microphone to speak it aloud, to share something to give up. And when I come walking back this other way, something you might give yourself to this year. Something bright and light and beautiful. I'll do my own. I'm halfway. Holy moly, I'm in the middle of pledge season in 2 churches, and I'm going to give up waking up at 4 a.m. and worrying about money. Letting it go. Anyone giving freedom to something?
The board. The board.
What is it?
The board.
The board. Tahira, Joyce, anything in the back row? Something you're giving up?
I have the weirdest thing to tell you right now. There's a police officer out here, and anybody parked on the street needs to move their car.
There we go.
Immediately.
There we go. Anyone have something you're going to give yourself to? I'm writing a book. And right now I'm giving myself to chapter 1, paragraph 2. Anyone there with me? Tom's giving up the church. It's okay. It's okay. I give you space. I leave you with it. I'm going to get up to the choir. Preach to the choir. What will you give up? And what will you give yourself to? Anyone in the choir? Oh, you can't understand what I'm talking about? Oh, no. Okay, I got to talk to the choir for a sec here. Can you hear me? Now you can? I was asking, along with Reiner, said, the trees you planted when you were a kid, been growing your whole life. Too heavy to take with you. It's time to move forward. Let the trees take care of themselves. That orchard is just fine and it's on its own. You have new business to do. And so I ask you, on this day, what will you leave behind to its own devices? And Reiner says then, give yourself to the air. Give yourself to beauty. And then I ask you all, what do you give yourself to now? In this season where there's so much heaviness. Holy moly. To what do you give yourself? And so you can tell me something you're leaving behind or something you're giving yourself to. And then I'll take us forward. Anyone want to leave anything?
Leaving behind inactivity.
Inactivity.
And going towards action.
Move to action. Giving yourself to the air is being fearlessly in a movement to action. That's beautiful. Anyone else? Okay. I leave you with that as a homework assignment. You have 6 days. And it's my gift to Kent, Reverend Kent, is that you go up to him and you can say, I'm giving myself to air, and I'm going to lead your finance committee next year. I'm giving myself to air, and I'm serving on your board. I'm giving myself to air, and I'm going to sing a new song, and you've never heard me play the xylophone, but you're gonna. May you do so. May this be a year of thriving and beauty and just lightness and renewal. Amen. if I had been blessed with the opportunity, can people hear me? You all can come in front of me if you want to, but anyway, if I had been blessed with the chance to be with you for 2 full years every week, I would have had more chance to embrace one of the charges for an interim minister, which is, as much as we're there to create continuity and a bridge from the old to the new, we're there to disrupt things a bit. That's what Barbara was helping, just break, we just they say, oh, is this the family Fabergé egg? And then drop it. Like, let go of that. That's holding you back. So, no, I'm being silly, but some disruption. I don't know, how often does your minister walk the center aisle with a microphone? I don't know. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it happens every week. I have no idea. So I don't know what I'm disrupting. That's a funny and dangerous thing. How often does someone preach right down the center aisle in between the reader's lectern and the high pulpit? I don't know. Anyone ever preach from a chair? I was just playing with these things this year. What difference does it make if you preach from a chair? I might have mentioned it. Back in Chicago, we went full English Gothic, and the pulpit's in the air, suspended with a little hat as a resonator. And it's the most remote thing from the people I've ever seen, from an era when, in some ways, that was the idea: get closer to God and louder. But it was less intimate. The cathedral experience is about grandeur, not intimacy. And those two things are tensions we work with in this house. So anyway, that's what I'm doing right now. When you say, what is he doing in that chair? That's what I'm doing. They say, here I explain the title of the sermon, here I explain the Wayside Pulpit. They say a rising tide lifts all boats. I say to you today, abandon ship. Give up all hope. Instead, be the tide that raises the boats. Shift the metaphor, for with the metaphor with which we imagine our situation, we create our situation. How we frame our life as a problem or as an opportunity. Had a wonderful meeting with the COM today. Talk about a gifted group of folks. And we had a deep conversation about the difference between looking at life as one where we apply all of our energies to solve our problems, to one where we apply all of those same energies to pursuing our opportunities. And after an hour of thinking through that, we realized it's a way of saying the same thing. For every problem is an opportunity, and every opportunity is fraught with problems in the real world, in human life. And so that's the choice we have here, is to be solutions-oriented people, opportunity-hungry people, questing for the new, thirsting for the beautiful, embracing the air and giving ourselves over to it and leaving leaden things behind. That's the last I'll say of my friend Rilke. But that's the spirit of today. The original seed of it, I thought about it, and I wasn't meaning to say it in the 5 minutes before your new minister gets here, but I have this idea, which came from an aha of many years, that there's no possibility to be a success as a minister without the congregation saying so. Oh my gosh. To be good at what I do, I need a kind of permission, which is an interesting aha for me. We do it in formal and informal ways. I'm grateful for those of you who showed up. We did a workshop yesterday on what is a minister. We spend all this time, we need a minister, this is our minister, that's our minister, I like this minister, I didn't like that minister, when's this minister leaving? All these questions you might have right now. And getting to the heart of what a minister is a challenging and important enterprise. And part of what's fun in that workshop is you find out that you're not even talking about the same thing from someone across the table. Someone will have the exact same idea because they both had a positive experience with Reverend Mark 20 years ago here, and that was formative for your sense of what a minister is. Someone else has been living in Topeka, and they'll be like, well, no, a minister is, one who, I always use the example, I have a friend, he was on Broadway before he was ordained. And so he'll just break into song at the pulpit. It's gorgeous. That's very, like in the South and in black church traditions, sometimes there's just a song and he gets moved, and man, I hate preaching with that guy. Because it's gorgeous and it's startling. It's like a magic trick. And for some people, and his name is Billy, in Billy's church, people say, oh, a preacher's able to bring the joyful sound, bring the joyful sound. And it's a different thing. So maybe a preacher's a singer. Maybe, a minister's a singer. Maybe a minister's a preacher. Maybe a minister's a lot of things. We generated a list of 25 things, and we weren't that big a group yesterday. But the question is, and it's related, which is, how do you make any of those roles successful? Preacher, pastor, poet, priest, administrator, manager, coach, cheerleader, analyst, consultant. I mean, the list goes on and on of the things you're going to ask this person to do. But they can't do a one of them unless you agree to the dance. Unless you say, offer us a word of encouragement. You know that you got to have permission to do that. Anyone who's raised a child, you need permission. Okay, you're listening to me for 1 minute. I'm going to use that one precious minute. You're all well trained. You're going to listen for 22 minutes. It's incredible. Incredible how you've grown into that possibility. It's an enormous gift. And I don't take it for granted. I say this as a kind of heavy reality too. Over time, people, they give you permission with their feet. By which I mean, they don't come back next week to recommission you if you wasted the first 23 minutes. I gave you 23. You almost killed me. I'm not coming back again. But if you give them something, if you give them the living water to drink, the stuff of life, if you slake the thirst of the soul, they'll come back. Even, I'll say this, even if you give them a little gentle encouragement, a little something to think about, and a little something to work on that helps them along their way. That's my commission to all of you in thinking about the church and your mission, that if we do nothing else but help you along your way and help other folks along their way, then we've done something extraordinary. I think about that all the time. We're just sitting talking about the religious education programs. What are we trying to do with a 5-year-old? Right? Nurture, encourage, affirm, and help them go to 6, go from K to 1. And we lose at some point this moving through the grades quite so explicitly, but we're all moving. We're between stages. That's why I encourage you to think of age and stage and how are you called in this chapter of your life? What's calling you now and what's over? And it's perfectly fine, Marcia, to be done with board service because there's a lot of endowment work to do next year. And that's it. That's what we're seeing. What calls to me? What is my work now? What does the world need now? What gifts have I let sit for too long that ought to be given space, ought to be given energy, ought to be nurtured? So that spirit I just talked about with the paternalistic mindset. I'm a dad, so I say dad things. Someone was referring to bringing the dad jokes. I don't bring the dad jokes all that often. I bring the dad things, and one of the dad things is, how can you at least be kind and encouraging and help folks along in that way? And I try to say in the spirit, and I'm a big Thich Nhat Hanh fan. If you ever spend time with Thich Nhat Hanh, talking about self-compassion, and all of these ways we think about ministering to other people, being a pastor to other people, be that to yourself first. So if I'm thinking about, and I'm looking at my kindergartners and thinking about, oh, are you ready for first grade? You're going to have to get your own lunchbox. It's going to be, am I thinking the same way about myself? The cliche of the inner child. What's your inner child trying to stretch and do? I said one thing. At 56 years old, I don't want to sit around worrying about money anymore. That's the thing. How long have I been worrying about money? I don't know, from 16 to 56. I gave it 40 years. That's a tree that's grown. I've planted that tree. I've watered that worry tree. I think I can leave that tree behind right now. Doesn't mean I'm going to stop worrying about the roof, and doesn't mean you don't have to do your pledge. Please do your pledge if you haven't done it. For the love of God, yes. But do I have to carry that weight? Is that my weight to carry in this season? Or do you need me to do something more? And if I'm in relationship with you and you're commissioning and I'm listening, if I listen, let's pretend I'm going to be here next week. If I listen, you say, you know what? we need now, Pastor? I hope you tell me. And don't tell him I said this. I hope you tell Kent. Not only what you're called, how you're called to give yourself to air, but how you're inviting and commissioning him to be your minister. Because we don't become ministers. It's not something we do to someone, right? It really is not. It's being invited into a relationship. And so on this day, the subtext of this thing is, being the rising tide, is this idea of how would you make everyone else around you successful? And when you have that disposition to lift those people up around you in the way they need to be lifted, again, you don't grab people and toss them in the air and say, we're dancing. That's not dancing. You lift people in the way they need to be lifted. You meet people where they are, another cliche in church that's powerfully important. You listen when people tell you how they want to enter the relationship with you, whether it's ministry or any other kind of relationship, whether it's parenting, whether it's marriage, whether it's a brand new boyfriend or girlfriend, whether it's your friend from college who you're accompanying into the 7th decade of life. How should I be your companion now? And let us reinvent it together. So what I've been sitting with this week as I was preparing to talk to you, and it was originally in rather more preachy form, I was thinking about the moments of vulnerability where we're stepping from the one thing to another, where we're letting go of this trapeze, grabbing on to the next, and the kind of help we need in the in-between spaces. And I was thinking about the actual people who were there for me in the moment, who somehow saw what I needed because they were in enough of a relationship to me, and they made me successful. And maybe small steps forward. My head is still in 2nd grade. Between 1st grade and 2nd grade, we moved towns. It's traumatic. Just like Kent's about to do. And the first day of school, I walked into Bryant Woods Elementary School, and I stood there, and I just stood in the front hall crying. I was 7. I didn't go around crying everywhere. I was a tough man. But I just stood there crying. And now this is a kind of newcomer problem. And you can't understand why someone's standing in the front hall crying if you've been there and you're in 5th grade and you grew up there. But when you're in 2nd grade and you've never been there, it's overwhelming. That's the first thing I want to say. Because here's this other thing. I'm talking about your success. I'm talking about the success of the people you're in a relationship. I'm talking about Kent's success. And I'm talking about us making successful the person who's walked in here for the first time today. We moved the hour, so I don't know. We have lots of first-time people here today. But next week you will. Maybe we have some today. I'm not going to embarrass you. Call it out. On that first day, what is the experience and how do we make them successful? 8 months in, how do we make them successful, and what is success in church? I always teach it. You'll know in 5 years, because one, you'll be here in 5 years. Longevity is a kind of success, maybe the most important one in church life. People vote with their feet. People vote with their feet. We're not captive here. You're not going to go to hell if you leave. You're not. You can sleep in. Right? No threats here. We're that kind of church. That's another thing. Where's Steve? Put that on the next banner. No threats here. We're that kind of church. Right? Okay. People vote with their feet. And so in order to do that, we must be in some kind of conspiracy, I want to suggest. This is our church project, to make each other successful in our journeys. I hope what happens here on Sunday makes you more successful on Monday. I hope what happens, the kids are out on the playground, the parents are in here. I hope what's happening in both places make the family supper on Sunday night more successful. I hope in some ways here, this is a place of discernment of vocation. This is a place of discernment of gifts. This is a place of discernment of right and wrong. And I hope what happens in the midterm elections is transformed by what happens here on Sunday. Is that crazy? Is it crazy? I don't think so. But it's an intentional set of practices in which we make each other successful on the dimensions upon which we ourselves are seeking success. On that day at the beginning of 2nd grade, that very first moment in the foyer, a man named Tom Brzezinski, and apparently very small children, it was thought in the 70s, couldn't say the word Brzezinski. So he was Mr. B, and Mr. B was the librarian, and he came and he took my hand and he walked me to class. I don't know. I remember Tom. I don't remember but 2 other people from before 12 years old, so must have meant something. He's a Facebook friend now. He's a good guy. Spent his whole life working with kids. I became a minister at the foolhardy age of 40, maybe. I was a ministerial intern at 40. And if you want to get into the humbling yourself, Zen enterprise, entering beginner's mind and letting go of your ego, become an intern at 40 and see what happens. On that first day, I showed up at church and I was nervous in front of people, which is weird because I gave like corporate presentations all the time. This ain't a corporate presentation. People don't care about your numbers. People don't care who you work for or what your title is. People have to give you a little gift of a chance. And I had a teacher. I'm shouting out more teachers. A woman named Jen Crow, Reverend Jen Crow. She's the senior minister of one of our largest churches now up in Minneapolis. If you ever have a chance to look up Jen, she's heart of pastor's heart. She made you successful with her heart. We have different ways we make other people successful. She loved you into it. She showed you kindness. Never a harsh word from her mouth. And she stood up in front of everyone and repeated a liturgy that had been given to her when she was an intern. She said to the congregation, repeat after me. And we can do it here. We will not let you fail. We will not let you fail. Okay, now hear that and pretend you're the intern. Pretend everyone around you has made a commitment not to let you fail. What does it look like? Part of making someone successful is not letting them fail. What does that mean? Maybe it means my sermon stinks. What do you do when someone sings off key, or their sermon stinks, or they overcooked the fried chicken, or whatever, all the things, all the potential pitfalls of this business of ours, right? Like not letting them fail is maybe opening yourself to receive the word they offer, even if the word is a garbled, jumbled mess, which doesn't make sense, misquotes Rilke, doesn't understand Heidegger, too briefly deals with Thich Nhat Hanh, whatever it is in your mind, doesn't really know what physics is, doesn't get quantum mechanics, can't explain it. I don't know. There are lots of technical ways to think about it, but the compassionate heart and the compassionate read of another human being is trying to, one, giving the presumption that there's a good that's struggling to find its way out, right? And being able to read deeply into the text that we might give space to that good. Is what I heard you saying something about not being burdened by old baggage? Yeah, that's good. I have something that brought to mind. Oh, great. Let's get this ball rolling. That's a gift. That's how you make a preacher not fail. You say, I'm not sure if this is on target, but it was making me think about my crazy Uncle Ted. Can I tell you about him? Yeah, you can. And then all of a sudden we have a sermon that's given rise to a relationship, and it's no longer a stinky sermon. It was the match that ignited something beautiful, right? That's not letting someone fail. We can do that again and again. A person who's been here 12 times and doesn't yet have a job, don't let them fail. Hand them a broom. Ask them to sweep up after church. Well, that's a strange suggestion. Isn't it rude to ask someone to sweep up after church? Not my house. My house, everyone has a job. We will not let you fail. We will not let you sit alone. We will not let you go without food when you are hungry. We will not let your car be towed, even if it's in the middle of church. We'll stop church. You need your car. It's work tomorrow. We will not let each other fail. So I want you to go through in your mind those who have helped you be a success. And I don't mean it sometimes in the ways we talk about. They gave you a chance. I mean, there's some bright letter people. They hired me and they put me in charge of the Oklahoma division of the National Guard. There's some story, really explicit, formal ways of granting access to something. You know what I mean? Somebody accepted me to Princeton, and I really appreciate that committee or whatever. But I'm thinking about these gentler, subtler, informal ways of the person who took your hand at the right time, or the person who gave you a way of seeing. I came to my first church in the great state of Georgia, first settled church in Savannah, Georgia. And, if you weren't born in Savannah after 7 generations of people born in Savannah, you're not from Savannah. And you know you're not from Savannah. And people know you're not. I'll go on, you know. And it's one of the fellows who was from Savannah, 10 generations. He said to me, he said, Reverend Dave, you know, he was 97 years old. He said, Reverend Dave, you come get me in your car. I want to take you some places. And I would chauffeur him around. He said, I want to take you. He'd take me some unusual places. He'd take me to see a tree. He took me to a place where the oldest live oak is in the eastern part of the state. And we went and sat underneath it. That's part of showing people a way of seeing that live oak preceded the Civil War. He says, I want you to see this. Then he took me to a place that made fried oysters, introduced me to the woman behind the counter. He says, this is the daughter of the owner. They've been here since about the same time as that oak. And we would eat fried oysters, right? So there's a way of making someone successful, taking them by the hand and showing them some things. Let me show you some things about this place. This goes right to, you show up new. And let me show you some things about this place you might not know. You know, I want to show you the memorial garden. I want to tell you maybe my dad's here. If that's the case, that's what they did in Chicago for me. They took me downstairs. I said, this is my mom. We have a crypt under the church. This is my mom. This was my dad. This was our minister when I was 8. Okay. A way of seeing the whole, of being let in on the secret. That's a kind of gift. And I remember his name was Bob Pattison. May he rest in power. There. So I've told you a few of my people. I just gave you 3 people who did different things, gave me a way of not being afraid, you know, gave me a way of enlisting people in my project, gave me a way of seeing the whole of a world that he spent 97 years piecing together. And he just gave me the reader's guide to Cliff Notes version of being Southern. Right? Let's think about that. So on this day, I ask you, who's been there for you in your life at the time that showed you a way of being that maybe you hadn't been before? Who's been there when you felt rage and showed you a way to go with peace? Who found you with a clutched hand and showed you the way to let it go? Who told you you could play the piano and said, come sit next to me on the bench, right? Or come sing with me in the choir. I know you can't sing. Come sit with me behind me on the bench, and I'll sing louder than you. That's why I'm sitting next to my brother over here. He sings beautifully, and I make a little croaky noise behind the pillar. It's my system. It's my system. Sit behind the pillar next to the guy with the best voice. That's it. I want you to think about those people, and then I want to think about you to think about the power that you have to make everyone around you successful. I'm going to tell you one more story because my time is short. I did a workshop. I think I tried to pitch it here. I couldn't get you into it, which was, it's fabulous. You missed out. Preaching the sermon you need to hear. Preaching your own sermon. Because you're just brilliant people. Our churches, which are better than everyone else's churches, they just are. Anyway, I'm kidding. We do have people who have brilliant minds and a way with words, people who read, who write, who speak, who indeed write secret poetry they don't share with a lot of people. I know something about us. And so inviting people forward to share something of what they know, a gift of the heart, the word that they carry that no one else does, to share with your family. Almost worse to share it with everyone you've known for 30 years. But when you're brave and do it, and you craft it, and you create something beautiful, and it's received by your family, and they're like, holy moly, it's a wonderfully elating experience. Well, anyway, I did this, and I got like 8 people to sign up, and it was fabulous. We had a wonderful session. Interesting, it was all women, brave women, who had, I have a story to tell, I could teach a thing. And the first one went, this is really my point, the first one went, brilliant young woman. And it was a great sermon. And I had this is the first time I've ever confessed it. I had this terrible thought in my head. I was like, well, heck, that was better than what I preached last week. And I had some kind of feeling about that. And it crossed my mind for a second. I said, I got these 8 women. What if all 8 of them preach in a row and they're all better than me? I'm new here. they might take back the job. And now, over the years, I've had this like epiphany, and honestly, it hit me as an epiphany. I took that to an extreme. I said, what if I had a church? This is a dream I'd like to have sometime. I have a church, and I got 300 people in my pews, just like today. And what if every one of them is a better minister than me? Every one of them can preach better than me. Every one of them can sing better than me. Every one of them would do better by the bedside at the end of life. Every one of them can run a church better. Would that be a terrible thing? Or would that be the most extraordinary thing in the world? Well, I said, that would get me a book written about me. If I was the person in that church and I was like the Forrest Gump or whatever of the church world and everyone else was extraordinary, I said, that would be the thing I want on my deathbed, is to look around and say, I'm the one being lifted up by this group of extraordinary people. And that changed everything. That was the turn in ministry for me. From, I got to do this thing better. I got to do it better. I got to be excellent somehow. I got to win. They're going to give me a medal. Nobody gives you a medal. Oklahoma City is the only place that ever did. So now you've ruined my sermon. But 99 times out of 100, nobody gives you a medal in ministry. Is it true? It's true. What they give you, if you're lucky, is the invitation to do more of what you're doing. They commission you again by showing up the next Sunday, and showing up on Wednesday night, and showing up at 5:30 at Pizzeria Gusto to have a slice together. 5:30, Pizzeria Gusto, to have a slice together. That's called product placement and promotion. It's one of the ways you build a church. That's just an aside, but I hope you're going to come to the next thing and recommission the chance to have deeper conversation about this very thing. And so on this day, when I'm talking about how do you make a minister successful, make no mistake, I'm talking about you. I'm talking about the strategy. There's a saying, it's Martin Luther way back then, which is the priesthood of all believers. The job of the minister is to light the fuse. The job of the minister is to ignite your ministry, that you may give yourself over to air, that you may give yourself over to service, that you may discover gifts that you never knew you had, that you may feel nurtured, encouraged, and blessed by this place, that you may be a success through that same turn, the turn of unselfing. Don't worry about yourself. You're fine, you're beautiful, you're brilliant, you're great. Don't worry about yourself. Give yourself over to making the people around you successful, and in that great unselfing, you will wake up to find one day that everyone around you is the greatest person you've ever known. And you'll think humbly, how lucky I am to be in their company. How extraordinary they keep me. But they do. Because we're that kind of family. We're that kind of church. May it be so, and amen. Now, if you'll join in body or in spirit, we're going to sing a song? Yes. Which one you want to do?
10:17.
Join me, rising in body or spirit, and singing hymn number 1017. Can you try and hide behind someone who sings well? You can.
Every day
We extinguish our chalice flame, but not the light of love and community which burns in our hearts.
I'm going to invite you in my style to take a hand of a person next to you if you feel brave enough and comfortable enough to do that. Thank you. Nice. That's the reverso move. As you go from this place, my friends, be blessed. Be blessed by the sense of your beauty and your worthiness. Be blessed by a lightness of spirit, and be blessed by the knowledge that you are not in this journey alone. You are part of a great family, a great and powerful family that is going to change this world. Go in peace. Amen.